Good morning, YouTube. I thought I would talk about a few things. So if you're watching the replay, there's a few topics I want to talk about. Let's get some people in here. It might be too early. UC 95, first one. Hey John, what's up, man? Hope everything's going okay there in your world. Pale Rider, what's up? New house, how's it going? Big Rich, 20th. Hey Jeffrey. What's up? Gear Grabbers in here. What's with the ad? You must be moving up in the YouTube world. Oh, is there an ad before this starts? I'm sorry. John Capone, Big Joe, John Carter. All right. So there's a few things I wanted to talk about. There's a lot of negativity surrounding the Schneider IC Choice program right now. Jay Cannell uploaded a video talking about Dre's video about the MMA account. And everything that Dre said is true. And that is why I think that the best way to lease onto somebody is with your own truck. But that's not what this topic is really about. There's like multiple things I want to talk about. There's a lot of negativity. There's been a lot of comparison videos. Like Sharon did a video of Schneider versus Traveloco. Coach has done a couple of Schneider versus Traveloco videos. I think even Jeffrey did one. And, you know, see, John says, I love the MMA account, it saves your butt. See, there's, when you're first starting out, it's good to have that cushion. And Dre brings up a lot of good points. And I think that maybe they could tweak it to make it a little bit better, where you feel like you're in more control. However, if a Schneider Finance guy has a $10,000 repair, they're going to get that truck moving. They're going to keep it moving. If I have a $10,000 repair and I can't fix it, I'm done. So there's a little bit of a parachute, I guess you could call it. I'm not an orange Kool-Aid drinker. I don't think orange is the be-all end-all. Every company has a specific fit. Jeffrey Like says, with what these guys don't understand is one size in trucking does not fit all. Exactly. Hey TK. So, as I've been doing this owner-operator thing, when I first decided to be an owner-operator, I knew I didn't want to be in the pitfalls of the lease trap, as I call it. Because your payments are so high, they're designed, the weekly payments are designed to keep you moving. Because if you go over to Landstar, where you got guys with paid off trucks, what's the first thing you think of? Oh, I got my truck paid off. I don't have to work this week. And they don't want you to have that mentality. Think about it. When a company, if you're a company driver, they want to keep you moving, and it's in your best interest to keep moving because you make mileage pay. But they have to keep that truck moving because they have to make payments on the truck as well. Hey, Kevin. So, lease purchase programs can be kind of a trap. John Citrone, the other thing about this video is that if you're going to lease something, usually you have to turn it in with the same kind of equipment that it came with. Yeah. If you truly, here's the thing, if you're watching this video thinking about becoming an owner-operator, and you're not quite sure if you can hack it, you know, then Schneider's 1 year or 18-month lease is a good route. However, don't expect to feel like an owner-operator. What it does is it gets you in the business mindset. You know, Steve Berger and I were talking about this. How you go from a company driver mentality to a business mentality. And that transition has to happen. You know, Ike was talking about when he left Schneider, you know, he said he wasn't good with business. And then as he's, you know, but he feels that he can learn when he got the Traveloco truck. And I imagine he's probably feeling more like a business guy now because he's having to book his own freight, call the brokers and all that stuff. At Landstar, it was easier to put yourself in that business mindset because you're doing a lot of the work. You're doing a lot of the footwork. You're calling the agents. You're making relationships. You got to think like a business person, because if you don't, you're gonna crash and burn at Landstar, plain and simple. You're gonna crash and burn in any company. So there's a lot of aspects of Schneider where I do feel like a company driver. Like, you know, if I have to go look for a trailer, that's kind of a forced dispatch in a way. But I'm still in control of everything. You know, if I want to, you know, capture leases, yeah. And see, that's the thing. So it all comes down to money. You know, I think Dre got a little bit, I know he was a little bit depressed after we had our talk, because he realized that he and I had the same truck, but he's paying 3 times higher for his. And now he's starting to he's starting to think like a business guy. He's starting to think, well, you know, wow, I'm not in control of this, I'm not in control of that, and my payments are high and all this stuff. And, you know, he's starting to think, you know, Steve Berger made the transition. He's like, you know what, I like this whole choose your own freight and working for myself, but I need to make the next step that brings me to that level. And so he got his own truck. And I think TK is doing the same thing. So, but there's other negativity going on with Schneider. You know, a lot of rates are changing. A lot of lanes are kind of not disappearing, but they're changing. The stuff that we're all comfortable with is changing. And that could be kind of frustrating, you know, but that goes back to my video about flexibility. Sometimes, you know, here's the thing. If you want to be an owner-operator, it takes a certain amount of passion. If you hate trucking, don't become an owner-operator, plain and simple. And definitely don't become a lease operator. You have to have a certain passion. You have to have a certain love for the trucks, or love for the road, or a love for money. One of those 3 things. But realize it's going to take a lot of pain, a lot of sweat, a lot of blood and tears to get. I don't care who you work for. And a lot of these leases are the carrot. Oh, you know, if you pay off this truck, you know, that's the magic point. Well, once the truck's paid off, you either do one of 2 things. You either slack off, or you have to get another truck because it's so worn out. Now, here's the other thing I want to address with the Facebook or the YouTube thing. Sorry, I was reading TK's comment. I'll go back to the comments here in a minute. You have all these people doing these comparison videos. And I'm not just talking about Coach. I'm talking about, like, Sharon did one, Schneider versus Traveloco. And she's a Schneider finance person that got her own authority. So she's thinking more like a business person. And then you've had the Coach, a couple of videos. Jeffrey did a video. And here's the thing. Jeffrey puts out really good information. You watch his videos, there's a lot of good information. You always learn something new every time he does a live video. These other comparison videos, I think that you could do more if you would just show the process. There's a lot of people that don't understand the process at Traveloco. You know, you see it in the comments. Oh, what kind of freight does Traveloco have? And then the person doing the video says, oh, well, we work off broker boards. Well, people don't get that. People don't understand that. And there's fixing to be a ton of Schneider ICs with these high finance truck payments getting ready to go over to Traveloco, not realizing the amount of work it takes to work off load boards. Yukon did a really good video about how he gets on the DAP board and how he searches and what to look for. You know, but I had a Schneider IC that got approved for Traveloco. We were sitting there in Dallas. And he started asking, he didn't know the difference between spot market freight and contract freight. He doesn't have the first idea on how to look for loads. He doesn't, or negotiate. He has no idea. And I know that at Traveloco, they do like a mentorship program where they kind of teach you how to work off the load boards, and they kind of teach you how to get the highest rates. But I've heard from other people, and I'm not going to name names, that sometimes they don't know what they're doing. Sometimes the drivers have a better experience working off the load boards than what the dispatcher is finding. And if the dispatcher works in another country, how does he know what freight lanes are working? You know, you got to be down in the trenches. Pale Rider TV says, I'm going to lease a Traveloco truck and bring it to Schneider. And, you know, and so we Traveloco is in the buzz in our little circle, and that's fine. I'm not bashing on them at all. But I think that, what if you guys told us how you look for your loads? Give us a business perspective of how things work. You know, the reason why I got the following I got now is because when I was at Landstar, there wasn't a whole lot of videos about Landstar. And so people wanted to learn, how do you look for loads? How do you, you know, and that's what, you know, look at the questions, look at the comments. How do you do this? How do you do that? You know, they want information. Jeffrey's channel's got like, what, 5,000 subscribers now? And he started a year after I did. And I'm only up to 1,600. Because I'm not really informative per se. I just kind of like, here's my struggle. And that's the thing. There was a guy on Canel's video that was asking about, you know, he wants to do a year as a company guy at Schneider, and then he wants to become a lease or owner operator. That's going to be difficult, because when I got my first truck loan, they wanted proof that I had 6 years of CDL experience. If you get your own authority, I think the insurance companies want you to have 2 or 3 years. You know, correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff. You have to do the time out here. You have to realize, okay, is this what I really want to do? Because just because you make a lease payment, just because you make a truck payment, doesn't mean that you're in control. You know, someone asks, well, should I go to Schneider or should I go to Prime? Well, Prime, you've got a dispatcher, so you're not in control. At least at Schneider, you got a little bit more control. Are there still company driver aspects that I deal with here that I didn't at Landstar? Yeah, but then at Landstar, there was a lack of support when things went wrong, in my opinion, especially if it was a multi-million-dollar agent. If you got one of the biggest agents in Landstar and they do you wrong, then you don't get support. You don't get any, you know, hey, we'll take care of it. And then if you don't own a trailer, you're dealing with their trailer BS, just like you do here. So when I first got into, decide I was going to be an owner operator, 2 things had to happen. I had to get my own truck so I could take it anywhere I want. And the second was, I have to be in control of the freight. I want to go where I want to go. Having the lower truck payment allows me the flexibility. If I had gotten a Snyder Finance truck, I'd have a different outlook. There's nothing wrong with, well, you know, I'm not going to say there's nothing wrong with Snyder Finance, but, you know, with any business, whether you own a burger joint, food truck, trucking, a fabric store, you know, the idea is keep your overhead low so you keep your profit margin better. Plain and simple numbers. When you lease a truck, there's complicated numbers. It complicates the system. That's how businesses make money now. They complicate the system. Think about this. I went to go add a line on my cell phone plan. It took about 2 hours, and I thought I was buying a car. You know, it was like they had all these complicated, oh, if you do this and that, and lease payment and this, that, and the other, and, you know, they had all these different things. And what happened to the old, what was wrong with, like, for $40 a month, you get this many minutes? What was wrong with that? Well, they weren't making enough money. Think about the healthcare system. That's what they do. Remember the old days of the HMO where you did a $20 copay and then everything else was covered? There was no BS. Remember those days? Are there any insurance companies that still do that in healthcare? I don't think so. It's all a deductible. It's all, well, you know, if you use $200 here and $300 there, and then we'll pay for 50 of it. You should see the bills that my wife gets. Because, you know, it's just kind of amazing. They complicate it. So by the time you're done, your head is swimming. You can't understand it. And you're just like, you just fork over your cash. Think about the stock market. You know, there's a reason why a lot of that stuff's complicated, because they don't want any Joe Schmo to come in there and make money. Trucking's the same way. It's not like, you know, I think some people approach trucking like a paper route. You know, think about when you get your truck fixed. You know, it's no longer, hey, go in there and my turbo's down. You know, now we gotta do this, and we gotta hook up the computer, and this one pipe costs $800, and you know, they figure out how to make money with these trucks because they know the companies are trading them in every 300,000 or 400,000 miles. So now they're figuring out ways to make money on these trucks in the first 400,000 miles. They don't make vehicles to last anymore because they want to complicate the system and make money. You know, it's quantity over quality. You know, it used to be if you bought say a Honda, you knew that you'd be able to keep that car for 25 years, and then you might buy a new one. Well, you can't make money that way. You can't make money. So you want to like get them with this repair and that repair and this update and that update. You know, that's what these trucking companies do. Nickel and dime effect. Yeah, you're right, TJ. In order to become a successful owner-operator, you have to think more like a business person. And as you develop those business skills, you're going to realize that a lot of these lease programs aren't that great. They only benefit the company, not the driver. Is there more risk by going to the bank and getting a truck? Yes. But you got to look at the worst case scenario. If I had to park this truck and become a company guy, I could manage the payments. If I have a $3,000 or $4,000 a month payment, that ain't gonna happen. Bank's taking it back. What's the worst that can happen there? The bank takes it back, and then your credit's dinged for a minute. You know, there are many owner operators out here that have failed 2 or 3 or 4 times. It's not something you get in one shot. So there is a lot of negativity. And I'm seeing a few changes coming down the line. And you know what? I'm I'm not going to sit here and gripe to you guys about, oh, Schneider did this and Schneider's doing that. I'm looking at the bigger picture, and I'm looking at other opportunities. Am I leaving Schneider right this minute? No. But just like what Jeffrey, you know, when the collision mitigation system thing came down, he was like, you know what? It's time for me to do something else. It's time for me to increase my business. And what did he do? He got his own authority, and now he's killing it out there. All right, Pale Rod, I'll call you later. That's why I'm going to GATS, because, you know, it's not just about, oh, look at the pretty trucks. You know, I could do that in Joplin at their truck show in September. But it's about networking and meeting up with friends. And the more friends you have, the more you network, and that's how it works. That's what Landstar tries to teach you, and I did that to a certain extent. You know, but I had to make changes based off of the things that I needed at that time. Can I get a call to put me down? I'm not putting you down, Jeffrey. Are you talking about, what are you talking about, Jeffrey? I need to go back through the comments. So, I just had to kind of get this off my chest. You know, Cannell did a good video about Dre's MMA account thing. And I hope it's an eye-opener, because when you lease a truck, even though you are in control of the freight here in a way, you're still going to feel like a company driver making the payments. And that's essentially what they want. But that's the difficult part. You know, some people don't want to do the time, and so I have to get a truck now. I have to get a truck now. Did you know at Trans Am out of Olathe, Kansas, did you know that they'll take guys fresh out of orientation that just got their CDL and say, hey, you want to be a lease driver and you make more money, not knowing that they would never go home. And what happens is they're barely learning how to drive the truck, and now they're running a business too. You can't do that. You know, even Prime stopped doing that to a certain extent, because they used to be that bad. But you know now you got to do some time before they'll let you lease. But even then, it's still under 2 years. Hell, I've been out here for 6 years before I bought my first truck. I'm still kind of clueless. You know, Jeffrey's helped me a lot. Yes, I'm going to leave this up. Steve, I was out months at a time. I almost killed my marriage. Yeah, he was at Jedi Knight, says he was at Stevens. Yeah. So, I did 2 years leasing after 2 years of company, and then decided I got into the game, and at this age be more independent. Big Billy says, not much the payments for me, more the freight, only giving us what they want and what's available. That's true, Big Billy. While I was sitting there in Dallas, one of the office guys came up to the table. I was at a table with like four ICs, and they're like, hey, you guys looking for freight? Well, what's going on? Well, they had a load that had to be in Houston ASAP from a big retailer. And the first question out of our heads was, well, what's it paying? And he was like, I don't know. Well, you can't sit there and, you know, why is this load not on the board? Is the load on the board? Well, I don't know. So yeah, there is a lot of freight that we don't see, because Schneider has like their hands in different things. You know, there's a customer in Ardmore that I see off the interstate that has a bunch of orange trailers, but I have yet to pull or see one of those loads posted. But see, that's the thing. Any company that you work for that has lease and company drivers is going to have that situation. Pardon me while I plug in my phone, guys. Hold on. I'll try not to drop it like my parody here. I'll be video here short here in a minute. Oh, very bad connection. There we go, we're back. But my message is to all these guys doing the comparison videos, how about you show us how your company works? Numbers to numbers that work, you know, if you're talking business, yeah, 85% is better than 65%. Just like a lower truck payment is better than a higher truck payment. It's simple math. But show us how the process is. Now, I can't show you the actual load board at Schneider because, you know, the whole, you know, secretive thing or whatever. But I could, you know, I try to tell you guys, well, I look for this load, did this, and, you know, that kind of gives you an idea. But anyways, you got to start thinking more like a business person. And you got to put some years behind you. There's not a magic number because some people take to this job pretty naturally. Jedi Knight says, how long will that last? 88% of same consistent revenue at a decent rate. Well, that's the thing, Jedi. The spot market is not consistent. And so you have to make your adjustments. Like right now, I know that freight is really good. So I'm running. I am running. I'm not worried about being home as much. And because I know come January, because I can look at my books. I can look at my book and say, wow, last January I did this amount. And I come to expect it. At Landstar, that was a huge reality check. I knew freight would slow down, but not to the point that it did. You got to make hay when it's time to go. And I'm still making it home. It's not like I'm running my wheels off. However, I'm not relaxing either. You have to, and I hate saying that. I hate saying you have to, you should. But when you're working with the spot market, you're going to have highs and lows, feast or famine. And then once you find your consistent customers and you find the right products, you know, like consumable goods that sell no matter what time of year it is, you know, stuff like that. And having a reefer trailer, see, to me, that's why I won't, you know, if I make the next few steps, I won't get a reefer trailer because it is seasonal at times. John Cater says, I do my best to get home every weekend to help with staying out weeks at a time. Exactly. And that's kind of what we're all wanting was, you know, there are guys that do want to live in their trucks and they do want to stay out. But you still want freedom. You still want to be able to choose what you do when you do that. So let's go over the comments here, guys. I've been neglecting you, and I apologize. TJ says, ICA BOA support at Big Orange has been wonderful. Skull says he could sell fabric, $22.90. John Citrone, what about $22.90? I missed something there. Plus, you're bumping docks everywhere, and you have no fuel discount, and you don't pay for your tolls, and you have to come up with the money for your plate every year, and probably $22.90. Well, we pay our $22.90 here, but you're right. See, here's the thing, though. When you do a low board on the spot market freight, you negotiate. If you know it's going to cost you $200 to go into Pennsylvania, then you negotiate an extra $200. That's how that works. At Landstar, oh, you can negotiate rates at Landstar. Yeah, a lot of those agents won't budge on that stuff. Jeffrey wants to deliver the Sunday paper because it sells for more money. Your wife should sell her bills to Thunder Funding, especially that cell phone bill. Yeah, my cell phone bill's kind of high, but it's. I remember one time I was on phone support with Sprint, and it was like pulling teeth trying to get out what my plan actually was. TK says, I believe some of these owner ops that aren't ready, jumping to Traveloka type situations, are in for awakening if there's a downturn in the freight market. Yeah. Proceed with caution. And that's not just Traveloka, that's any company that allows you to work off the DAP boards or ITS or any of that. You Drive You by Kenny Long. I don't know what's that. Steve, I lost a lot of money leasing at Stevens. We already talked about that. Big Billy, not so much payments for me, more the freight. Yeah, Billy, the freight has been weird, man. There's a lot of stuff that's paying a little bit better. There's a lot of stuff that hasn't been paying as well as it should. TK says, I've been doing various types of trucking for 17 years and just ventured into owner-operator territory 10 months ago. And you're learning, man. You're going through that transition where you're starting to think like a business person, right, TK? And that's why you bought a non-Schneider Finance truck. TJ says, the one thing for sure is having an SFI truck versus purchase is a $2,000 profit a month difference on average. Yep. John Cater says he's home. Okay. Favorite purchase. TK feels neglected. I'm sorry. Pennsylvania Snorlers stomping grounds. It used to be. Juan, I didn't get the notice you were on, brother. Good morning. Good morning, Juan. Yeah, other people have complained about that too. Steve, are you buying a trailer? That is yet to be determined, my friend. Harold, I hate being away from home, but it's a sacrifice I'm willing to make because I'm building an empire. Next, Al Snyder or CL Werner right here. That's kind of the way you got to think. There's a good balance. Ike Stevens has talked about the balance between money and home time, and that's kind of that's a hard thing to juggle sometimes. Even when I was a company guy, I think I managed to get that. I've never been out more than a month at a time. As a company guy, I was never out more than 3 weeks, and that was by choice. That was, the company's like, hey, you want in this weekend? I was like, no, I'm going to do work another week, so I'm going to ask for 4 days off the next week. And that's kind of how I approach this, If I know I'm going to be home for 4 or 5 days, then I'll run like 2 or 3 weekends straight. And it also depends on my hours too. I went home last weekend because the low board wasn't my friend, and there was nothing that I could make work with the hours that I had. So I picked up a load, went home with it, and then delivered it on Monday. And I'm probably going to be out this weekend. Question: E Street Quest, why don't you go to Traveloka and make more considerable amount of money? That's a good question. I have no issues with Traveloka whatsoever. And they are, I think I've talked about this before. They are kind of a backup plan. But right now I'm comfortable and I'm sticking with what I know. That's number one. Number two, you have to buy your own plates. I don't really have that extra cash right now. I'm still waiting on my tax return. So, and then three, I would have to buy my own trailer. Now, I could get one of their trailers, but that's still kind of a new program over there with their trailer situation. I don't know much about Traveloka other than what the YouTubers have said, but now I've got a couple of friends that are going to tell me the real skinny on them. But I have other things in the works as well. That is the next step. Let's go from 65% using somebody else's trailer. Let's go to the next step and let's buy a trailer and get a higher percentage. That's in the works, E Street. That is in the works. It just, Traveloka may not be the exact place I'm wanting to go. Nothing against them. I just, I'm being cautious. Steve, sounds like you have a nice Groove versus Landstar. Yeah, the differences between Schneider and Landstar was mainly the freight consistency. If I was empty on a Friday night in Oklahoma City, I could find a load to get home, or I could find a load and keep moving. Whereas, the 9-to-5 agents, they're not answering their calls. They don't have any freight. If you go to Landstar's website, there's a picture of a dude in a business suit with a laptop, and he's on the beach. Now, that's supposed to appeal to you being a Landstar agent. But as a driver, that makes me go, well, I want an agent that's working. I want an agent that's networking with customers, not drinking margaritas on the beach with a laptop. That's not cool. I thought it was always a stupid way to advertise. Because the majority of agents, were guys that in their pajamas, just making phone calls. And a lot of times I would call these agents and I would act like I was ruining their day or something. Like, hey, I'm giving you business. So over here, I didn't have to deal with that. Over here, you can work through the weekend if you don't have anything booked. Please post this video so I can watch it later when I wake up. You're right. It's no problem, Juan. So yeah, I do have a little bit more groove. And there's a lot of guys that go from Schneider to Landstar and they make it work. But it's a good stepping stone because now you're going to learn how to call the agents. Because when you go to and you're going to learn about the spot market. So the problem is you get these guys like, I'm not moving my truck for less than $1.50 a mile or $2 a mile. And then they sit at the truck stop for 3 days. And then you do one run where they made $4 a mile for 1,000 miles. Not realizing that the 4 days you've lost because you're not running. Now, I'm not saying run for 80 cents a mile. But at the same time, you got to find the fine line between sitting and running. It's all about averages. If you're doing a run, say from Dallas to Nashville, and you want to go back to Dallas, so you just deadhead back, well, that $2.25 a mile that you won't run for less than, you're actually doing that because now you're doubling your miles. Their trailer program seems expensive, Big Rich says. Is that a Traveloka or Landstar you're talking about? Okay, Steve Watkins, trailers cost $250 a week to rent. Now, I think 404 said in Jeffrey's video that he just got a trailer approved, and it was like $650 a month, was it? So that comes out to so much a week. So you got to find the deal. And again, it's just like buying a truck. How much a week is that trailer going to cost you? How much a month is that trailer going to cost you? Because that's kind of how you have to break everything down. And if you can go out and get your own for less than $250 a week, then by all means do it. TK, a lot of people talk about the negatives at the Big O, but there are a lot of positives as well that don't really get mentioned much. That's true, TK, and that's what I try to, a lot of people like, well, Steve Snorler doesn't know what he's talking about because he doesn't have an SFI truck, so he doesn't know the struggle. Well, yeah, I don't know the struggle because I didn't want to go there. However, I do know that it's a case of math, and if I had to make a high truck payment, Schneider would be the place I would want to do it. Why? Because you still control the load board. Now, do we see all the best freight? No. Do we, do company guys sometimes come in and they're able to get a load from us? Yeah. But, that's where that flexibility has come in. So is $250 a week reasonable for trailer lease to rent? I have no idea, Jedi. I need to do some research on trailers. I know that Schneider's got a bunch of old trailers for like $5 grand. A lot of good people at Schneider. That's true. You know, orientation, I was treated well. My ICA, the main guy, you got more of an ICA team. And the two ladies on my team are awesome. There's one guy who's kind of not really short with me, but I could definitely tell he's just like not into it. But for the most part, I despise calling. So I try to get everything done as independently as I possibly can. I try to figure stuff out before I call them. I can't tell you how many times I was on hold and I figured something out and I didn't have to talk to them. Jedi Knight, K Air Ride, correct? No. Schneider has no air ride trailers, unless you're talking to Steve there. My payment might be higher, but my used 2014 would be paid off in just over 2 years. Well, see, that's how you got to look at that. In 2 years, you know, my truck's not going to be paid off for another 3 years. So you have to look at what mileage is the truck going to be when you pay it off. You know, there are guys at KLM that get brand new trucks that they'll be paid off in 6 years with no balloon. Well, how many miles is that truck going to have at 6 years? If you're the kind of guy that can do your own work, that's not a problem. But at 6 years, that truck's worn out. If you're doing 120,000 miles a year, or even 100,000 miles a year, that truck's going to be in the 600,000 to 800,000 mile range. And you know that these trucks don't like million miles anymore. You know, unless you buy a classic 379. James DeJong. Nobody said running a business was easy. If it was, everyone would be doing it. Hi, James. Good to see you in here. Butch, what's up? James DeJong was the one that gave me the fridge. He was a lease operator over there at KLM, and now he's doing a local gig. Everybody say hey. Much helpful today, much dialogue. I don't get on much. Well, thanks, Jedi. I'm trying. I was trying to do a recorded video about all this, and my phone was like, "You're putting too many minutes on," and I was kind of rambling a little bit, so I thought I'd better just do it here. And maybe, like I said, there's a lot of negativity surrounding Schneider right now. And I think a lot of that's based around the Traveloco comparison videos. But there's also a few ICs that are having some bad luck right now. And I get it. Excuse me. But I'm still making it work. And I'm looking to the next step. My payment is low at KLM. I train, so I will rent this truck. It'll be easy. It'll easily be able to buy a new truck soon. See, KLM's got it, you know, from what I've been told about KLM, and James is on here, he could say it too. Their payments are fairly reasonable. I think it was said that KLM, the CEO said that they're not out to make money on the truck. So the amount that you get the truck for is like the amount of the truck and maybe a 6% loan. And there's no balloon at the end of the payments. So it's very cut and dry. It's very simple. And that's appealing. That's appealing to me. You know, that's a lot better than 3 years, then you still got to pay off 60 grand. Most drivers are not businessmen. They go off one set of figures, say plan A, never think about plan B or plan C. When things don't go perfect, they're in trouble. You're right, Barry. You're absolutely right. John Spano says $535 a week for a 17 Cascadia. Loan is 7%. See? Now, the problem with that 6-year lease, though, John, is how many drivers out here have stayed at a company for more than 5 or 6 years? And unfortunately, KLM won't let you take that truck anywhere else, nor will they let you add an APU, that kind of thing. And James brings up a good point that I know. If you train at KLM, when you pay off, you will have too many miles. And that's true. Kevin and Ollie. Hey, Kevin, I'm going to be calling you today. Sitting dead in my driveway, batteries are shot. Won't take a charge. Yay, MMA. LOL. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm not laughing at you, Kevin. Sorry to hear that, Kevin. Hopefully you'll get a jump start. Batteries in these trucks last like a year, it seems like. You go through a set a year. Especially if you got a tri-pack. Because tri-pack, you're constantly charging, drawing, charging, drawing, charging, drawing. That's why I like my Carrier, because it doesn't do that. That wears out the batteries. So I've heard good things about the Optima batteries, and that you'll only be changing them every 2 or 3 years. So I'm not going to keep the truck. My plan is to buy my own. I'm renting this truck. It will be used. It'll be used up once I pay it off. Right. James had 500,000 miles in 3.5 years. He was a trainer over there too. James is a really good friend of mine, if you guys didn't know. Kevin says, hopefully they bring new batteries. These things won't take. Been on charger all night. Oh man, yeah. You probably got, yeah, you definitely got some bad batteries. Groundhog says, Big Rich, I did $2,800 on 846 miles and 44.25 hours. Killing it. See, Groundhog found something that works for him. He was also a Snyder IC and took his truck to rail company, and now he's doing more revenue, less miles, which is the trick. That's what Jeffrey's doing with this authority. You know, he's, you know, and that's what Coach has talked about too, about running 2,000 miles and bringing home, you know, $4 or $5 grand. That's the way to do it. Exactly, chase revenue, not miles. Yeah, and that's why the Snyder program is a little bit better than, say, a mileage-based program, because you can work less for more money. Now, could I be doing more miles? Yeah. You know, I'm learning too. But I'm learning the numbers. Like, if I do 2,000 miles, that gets me to the comfort point. If I'm only doing 1,500 miles, I'm struggling a little bit. But at the same time, you know, like the last couple of weeks, I've been doing a lot of heavier loads, so my fuel cost has gone up. I was kind of surprised to see that I had 6.8 on my program, whereas before it showed 8.4. So I have to double check the numbers, make sure I didn't mess up. James says, have a great day. You too. Oh, you're going to bed, man. You're going to bed. You're off for the weekend, actually. Like Jeffrey says, the truck is just a tool in your toolbox. Yeah. It is. You know, there's nothing wrong with taking pride in your ride, washing it, put a little bit of chrome on it here and there. But in the end, you know, like, I don't picture myself being 20 years from now looking at this truck and going, oh man, she was good to me. No, truck's going to be gone. It's going to be in a junkyard somewhere in Mexico, probably. Do I like my truck? Yeah. Am I proud of my truck? Yeah. But at the same time, I know that once it's paid off, I'll have to get something else, because this truck will be worn out. And these trucks are designed to nickel and dime you by the dealers. So you never have a paid off truck. Your truck is never paid off. You can go out and buy a brand new truck and pay cash for it, 160 grand. You're Mr. Rich Guy and you're writing a check for 160 grand. Guess what? That truck's still not paid off, because you're gonna have to pay for this, that, and the other. And that's something that a lot of people don't realize when they these. No one does overhauls anymore. Buy like a 379 or a 579. Well, no, not a 579, but if you buy like an old school Pete or W9, yeah, that's what people do. They do overhauls, but those trucks are built better. You know, if you get a like a glider kit, Fitzgerald glider or something like that, yeah, you do overhauls. But, you know, you can't go into California. You can't do this. You can't do that, you know. They're not designed to keep long term. They're disposable items. That's the design turnover the American way. Exactly. Green light. Got to roll, Steve. All right, Groundhog. I'm going to end this video. I keep getting bad connection. Pre-emissions is the way to go, says Big Rich. In some ways, yeah. Like I said, if you know how to work on your own truck, that's the biggest advantage. James Coker, hello, I'm new to your channel. I like your content. Well, thank you, James. These, you know, I've done a video about the disposable, you know, think about this. Think about lawnmowers, okay? It seemed like for a while I was going through a new lawnmower every other year. And what happens is Walmart goes to Briggs & Stratton, says, okay, if you can produce 1 million units, we'll use you exclusively. And so what happens is you know, now Briggs & Stratton, they're putting out, you know, they're worried about quantity over quality. And they design them to where, oh, well, this should give the consumer 2 years, and they have to come by and get a new one. And that's how they make their money. They don't make, you don't make money off of buying stuff for longevity anymore. That's the old American way, and it does not exist anymore, except in some things that you have to have a lot of money for to begin with. So Jedi says, have a good one, Steve. Steve says, thanks, Steve. Todd, have to go. See you later. Yep, everybody's probably starting their day. I thought I would do this video. My pickup's not till 11, and yeah, quality does not make money, says Lafayette. But yeah, I've never been this customer before, so I don't know if they can take me early. But I'll go in a little bit early. I got lucky last night and found parking here at the Petro here in just south of Joliet on 55. Remember when you paid $1,500 to $2,000 for a riding mower and it lasted 15-20 years? Now you pay $750 every 4 years. Same concept. Yeah, exactly. You know, like, oh, you know, my mom got a John Deere riding mower, and nothing lasts like a John Deere, or whatever their slogan is, and she's had to have a lot of work done to it. So. Good night. You must be a third shifter. I'll double check the sub button just to make sure. Turn over. Butch, I talked to an engineer at Ford. He told me that they built springs at a point. Everything today is made that way. Yeah, that's exactly true. When I had my turbo replaced in the Peterbilt, the guy said, you know, he goes, I don't know if this has been replaced before on your truck, but if you're 800,000 miles, this original turbo, that's a miracle. Because these things are designed to go out at 400, 500,000 miles. And I'm looking at my truck going like, well, I'm at 415. So I'm hoping that, you know, this is still under warranty at least. You know, it's when it comes out of warranty, that's when I'm going to, you know, going to start to worry. So, all right, guys, I'm out of here. Thanks for watching. I just wanted to vent a little bit. For those of you at Schneider, keep your chin up, and good luck to you. And moving on up, good luck to you, and keep your head on the numbers. Keep your head as a business. You know, you're no longer just a truck driver anymore if you're an owner operator. So people used to keep jobs for 20 years. Today, 20 years is 5 years, no more pension. That's correct. TJ asks, do you pay less than $2K a month for your truck? Yes, I'm at $1,585. So, all right, Butch. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Thanks for watching. Click the bell, or make sure it's there. It's clicked, and hopefully I didn't annoy anybody. I don't think I did. I I didn't go out attacking anybody this time. Drama's done. I'm done with drama. I'm above all that. So you guys take it easy.